Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Aces High here, and today I'm bringing you guys something kind of fun, something from across the pond. So we're going to talk about Europe. This video just talks about all the things that European countries do and just people in those countries that the rest of the world, including us here in America, I'm from the west coast of America, obviously, think is just weird. I think I'm going to get a few good laughs out of this. And honestly, I think I'm going to be a little bit surprised about some of the things because I feel like if you go back in the day, Americans used to be very different, and I know we're not all the same. Some people still sit down and have family dinners, but others don't. And I wonder if they still do in some countries, and I don't know, you know? Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and if you're new to the channel, hit that sub button to stick around for more content. Let's get started, you guys. One thing that I do need to mention before we get started, this video is brought to you by the Infographic Show. They have a lot of really good content. I love them. I just can't stop watching their videos. So if you guys haven't checked them out, go ahead and go take a look. They have thousands of videos and they post every day just like I do. All right, you guys, let's get started.
Part of our notification squad. We'll start with food. Now, depending on where you come from in Europe, eating habits change dramatically. If you visit places such as France, Italy, or Spain, you might find that food is much more than sustenance and meal times are quite a cultivated matter. In Italy, you could expect to take a 2-hour lunch, sometimes with wine, on a workday. Food matters. In France or
There's no way that that's true. 2 hours on a workday? I'm lucky if I get 30 minutes. 2 hours? That's incredible. And you're allowed to drink and go back to work. At most jobs, if you have even one beer on your lunch, you can get in serious trouble. At least in America.
Spain, dinner might last all night, and again, wine is often there at the table. Dinner is often sacrosanct, and it's a time for sharing and talking, and often many courses are served. For most visitors to these countries, if they end up being invited to a family dinner, they will often be pleasantly surprised by the sheer volume of treats and also the wonderful conviviality. You may also find that once you have made the acquaintance of some Europeans, they can be quite tactile and for some people get a little too close. While in some southern European cultures you might find men, just friends, holding hands as they walk down the street, it's not uncommon in Italy, Portugal, France, or Russia for men to cheek kiss as a sign of friendship.
I actually saw this when I was in Liberia, West Africa. I know it's a little different than Europe, but guys, specifically guys, my age would want to hold my hand to show friendship as we walked down the street, and the girls didn't, because if a guy and a girl they hold hands, it shows some type of a relationship. But the guys would do it to show friendship, and it was just something I wasn't used to.
You might have to be very close to that person, but once you've established a close bond, this is something you may have to get used to. After visiting France, you could be in England an hour later and try to kiss a man on his cheek there, and he may take offense. One thing people might find peculiar about the English is their orderliness and sometimes utilitarian nature. In England, compared to the continent, people can be quite serious about things. This could be how much emphasis they put on an orderly queue, or even how much they espouse not making a fuss. Some people call this the stiff upper lip, meaning someone shows great restraint. You'll find people don't complain much in restaurants, or even are quite nice to someone who they hate, if not pushed to the extreme. But the English are also renowned for their propriety in times of adversity, much the reason why Rudyard Kipling once wrote, "Only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun." He was referring to English people dressing up in the hot tropics during the time of the Empire. Anything to keep up appearances. We will now move over to the Netherlands, a country that has surprised many visitors time and again.
Before we get into the Netherlands, and that is somewhere that I definitely want to visit one day, England, even though they're very different than America, I feel like out of all of Europe, I guess because we came from there, a lot of America, we were the most similar to them. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, but if you agree, just let me know. If you disagree, if you think another country kind of fits it better, let me know.
Again, one of the most shocking things to people is Amsterdam, first with its rather open and diverse red light district, but perhaps more so because there are cafes you can go in and choose from quite a lengthy menu of marijuana. In most countries, you might find drugs and prostitution in rundown parts of town, but in Amsterdam these days, it is quite safe and also picturesque. Another thing you might find strange in the Netherlands is the amount of bicycles and how they crazily zip about. The Dutch respect their bikes, and drivers must respect them too. In the Netherlands, there's even a special way to open a car door so there is no way you will open it on someone passing by in a bicycle. This involves opening the door with the hand furthest away from the handle. Kudos to the Dutch for coming up with that. Some people call it the Dutch reach, and it's a lifesaver. If you are going to spend a significant amount of time in Europe, you might come across the most passionate and sometimes scariest sports fans you'll ever see. While football hooliganism is sometimes said to be a British thing, most infamous in the 70s and 80s, it is widespread across Europe. People literally die for the game or their team. In Eastern European countries, such as Poland, the Czech Republic, Turkey, or Croatia, you'll find supporters with units that look more like special forces. In Italy, Spain, and the UK, supporters at once cry over the beautiful game and then later vent their anger by tearing apart parts of cities. You will find this in other parts of the world, such as countries in South America, but let's say if your average Canadian got caught up in this, they might find it rather peculiar. If you were to come...
See, that's interesting, because in America, we have what we call football, and it's American football. It's we have we throw the ball, throw the old pigskin, but then we have what we call soccer, which is football, and I've actually seen it growing in popularity incredibly quickly. In fact, my hometown Seattle, we actually have our Seattle Sounders football club, and it's definitely growing in popularity. People love it.
Come across some hooligans and made a run for it, you might find that you'd easily get lost. European cities are old and weren't designed using easy-to-navigate systems. You could say many cities in Asia are relatively new cities in terms of them being built up to modern standards, and most American cities were created in a block system. Wandering through alleyways in Rome, following those country roads in the Scottish countryside, or navigating the cobblestone streets of Dubrovnik is one of the highlights of any trip, but before GPS came about, getting lost was assured. Let's say you are lost, and you stop at a local bar for a drink. One of the great things about some places in Europe is the homey feel of some of these old establishments. They might open till very late, or people in some parts of Europe may not even go out until 11 p.m. In more rural communities, you might still find people driving after a few drinks, and in most parts of Europe, you won't be blasted with AC while having to endure sports on 6 TVs. While you'll find American-style sports bars in Europe, one charming thing you'll still find is that the pub, the inn, the cafe will have a homely touch. You'll also find in Europe that a lot of young people get away with drinking. The age limit law in many European countries may not so assiduously be enforced by pub owners or police. If you are American, you'll also find that police in most of Europe are not so much...
See, that's incredible. That's a huge change compared to America. If you're from Europe, whether it's Spain, England, anything like that, let me know. I know that drinking ages are lower. I know that some countries are as young as 16, I believe in Germany, and I think it's 18 in the UK. You have to be 21 to drink in America. And don't get me wrong, I went to kegers, I went to parties, all that stuff. I drank under 21. But you go into a bar and you get carded. If you're not 21, they send you out. You try to buy alcohol at the grocery store, you get carded. Even if you don't have your ID and you look like you're 30, chances are they won't sell it to you. You need to be you have to have gray hair. And even then, if they're a new cashier, they might still not sell it to you because they can get a fine. The U.S. takes that very seriously.
In your face as they are in the States. They seem to be a nicer breed of cop. If you are young and want to party, head to Europe. Ironically, laws are laxer and there is, for the most part, less crime. You might need a drink to calm your nerves after you've experienced a day of watching nude people at the beach. Certainly in Spain and France, you'll find toplessness to be absolutely nothing out of the ordinary, and we are not talking about nudist beaches. Go there a second time, and you'll just get used to it, and maybe even throw caution to the wind and strip yourself. As most of you are English speakers watching this, or can understand English, we feel we must give you a word of warning if you visit the UK. That warning is, you might not understand people when they speak to you. You think you speak English and know what it's...
Yeah, I have to ask you guys, if you're from the UK, hang on a mo? Hang on a moment? Is that what it is? Hang on a minute? Yo, hold up? Same type of thing? In American speak? Let me know if I'm correct on that. Is hang on a mo, like, hang on a minute? Hold up? Like, same type of thing? Anyway, let me know.
Sounds like, and then you find yourself asking someone in Liverpool where the Beatles Story Museum is, what you hear back sounds like a foreign language. Down a few pints of Guinness in Dublin, and start to chat with a guy with a very broad accent, and you'll be equally confused. The accent can change from town to town, so even if you fully understand the Mancunian, that's
my
someone
God,
from
I don't understand
Manchester,
any of
you
that.
might have problems following someone's gist on the wonderful and wild moors of Yorkshire, and you've only driven for 45 minutes. It's actually fascinating to behold. We'll leave you with
All right, that looks like it's about it, you guys. Let's talk about this. Oh man, that was actually pretty good. Um, the accents. I listen. If you go to America and you go down south, there are some tough accents. I am American. I'm from the West Coast. My accent isn't bad. There's a few things I say that are a little bit of an accent, but overall, Washington doesn't have too much. I hear people say Washington sometimes, but that's about it. Um, if you go down to like, if I visit my family in Tennessee, sometimes I have to ask them what they said like 2 or 3 times because I just can't understand them. The accent is so thick. What I just was reading, I don't know what the hell they were saying. That wow. And then the other thing that got me would have to be the very beginning. I think it was in Italy or in Spain, where they'll take 2 hour lunches. Wow, that's just incredible. And then they all eat as a family. That's something America really did in the 50s and 40s and all that. But I don't know many families that really sit down and eat a dinner anymore. When I was growing up, my mom tried to get us together to do that, but it just it doesn't happen as much anymore. You kind of grab your food and you go off to your separate rooms and you watch TV or whatever you're doing, and you just don't talk as much. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought, and if you like the content, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, sub. It really does help me out, and it helps out with the YouTube analytics. Hope you guys liked it. Till next time, this is Aces High, and I'm out.